Welcome back, crew. It's July, and this month we're going to dig into a franchise that's, let's say, very precious to me. We're digging into the One Ring RPG by Free League Gaming. And for those of you who aren't in the loop, One Ring is based off of the Lord of the Rings franchise. So today we're going to be going through our first impressions of the system, but throughout the month of July, we're going to be digging in with content to show you how to build PCs, how to run the mechanics, just overall how to play this system. And to go off with that, too, July 27th, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to hold our game of the month, actual play. So you're going to see me and my crew play the One Ring system live on my Twitch channel, T&J Gaming. You can find the link down in the description, and you're going to see us play out the system. And this is my first time playing it, and I think it'll be most of my players' first time playing it as well. So you're going to see us learn the system, see some of the highs, the lows, see us look up some rules, but you can see us try out a fun new system based off the Lord of the Rings universe. And I'm pretty excited for this one. I was a huge Lord of the Rings fan as a kid. Actually, still a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I was looking through, I was kind of bummed. I was looking through my bookshelf and then my boxes of books, and I couldn't find my set. I had the old school, I'm 32, so I started reading right before the movies came out, and I had a really cool combined one with the kind of some of the movie logo work of all three of the books in one. Can't find it. Hopefully, I'll find it before the month's over and can show it off a little bit. It's got some wear and tear, but definitely something that's near and dear to me. And especially with Lord of the Rings, getting to do this in a tabletop setting is really cool for a system that's specifically designed for it because of how much inspiration D&D, Pathfinder, and a lot of the other big systems with kind of that fantasy genre have taken from the Lord of the Rings franchise, and with just kind of the world in general, Tolkien's worlds that he brought to life. It's really cool to play a system that's specifically designed to emulate how those adventures, The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Marillion, all of those were designed to flow. So I'm excited for this one. And today we're just going to be going through my first impressions of it. For those who are unfamiliar with the channel, this is basically just me kind of picking up the book, leafing through it a little bit, not reading too in depth on the mechanics or how it's played, but just kind of going through the book and just kind of shouting out some of the first things that come to mind as I see some of the pieces, see some of the mechanics, see some of just how they've designed and laid out the book. So, a couple things I want to call out first. First, shout out to Free League. I've actually bought a couple of their games recently, but they are one of the few that when you buy the hard copy, they give you the PDF, which is amazing. I don't know why everybody else doesn't do it because the hard copy is the expensive piece. Like you just give you the PDF too, and Free League does that. They do it automatically. You buy the hard copy, and like an hour or so later, they shoot you a link to go download the PDF. So that's amazing. Huge shout out for that. Because I, since quarantine, play almost exclusively online now. And with my table, I'm usually the one that buys the book. So with the people that are going to be playing the game, I like to share the PDF. Just so they can see what the rules are, see how to build their characters, see everything. It's kind of that old school. The GM brings the game and passes around the book to the players, just so they can kind of know what's going on. And with the PDF, we can do that even virtual. So that's great. Shout outs to Free League. I really appreciate that. And speaking of that sneak preview, I'm not sure if it's going to be August, but we're going to be playing their Alien RPG. I didn't know there was an Alien RPG. Alien from the 80s horror movie Alien. They've got Free League makes an RPG that emulates that. So that's coming soon. I don't know if it's August's game of the month or maybe September's or later on, but that's certainly going to be one of our games of the month. But let's get back into it. So shout outs to them for putting out a free PDF with it. That makes my life so much easier. One of the biggest things, just kind of a first impression, the lore, the art, it does a fantastic job of evoking that Lord of the Rings feel. I really like some of the pieces they've included in there. I'll say I'm probably a former Lord of the Rings lore nerd. I used to read a ton of it back in high school, but I've kind of gotten a little away from it, sadly. It was just kind of cool seeing all the different pieces they've included in there and different ways to link that to the gameplay, which is always amazing. And I love when kind of like the systems build in lore that you can easily, not even easily link, but when they show you how to link the lore to the gameplay, it just makes everything so much easier and makes it easier for dungeon masters, game masters, story masters, whatever you want to call yourself, to go in and create that story for the players and have it rooted in the lore that the people will be familiar with going in. So they did a fantastic job with that. Some really cool artwork included in too. And then just one other cool piece of the book, and I think this is something Free League does with all theirs. I've ordered Alien and I've ordered Morkborg. I've gotten Alien back, and Alien has this too. But I love the cool little bookmark that they include with it. So they've got like a red one for this. Alien's got a black one. I haven't got Morkborg yet back, but I bet it has one too. But I like that. That's a cool piece with the book too. So other things, just kind of going through, we'll touch on a little bit of the mechanics pieces too. These are all at a very high level. I haven't gone through and done the deep dives, which we're going to do throughout this month. One of the things I noticed too is that they do have specialized dice that can go with this. Luckily, it's not like a Fantasy Flight situation with the Star Wars Edge of the Galaxy game where you have to use their specialized dice. But they do have a kind of specialized dice structure that you can make use of when playing the game. With this one, so the way they do their dice, so it's dice pools, and you have a pool of d6s based off of the stat that you're going to be rolling. So you get to have as many d6s as you have points in that stat. And then you have 2d12s, but you generally only roll 1d12. And with the specialization with the dice, luckily it's something you don't need the dice to emulate, but if you wanted to, you could get them. They have on the 6, on the d6 die, they've got like a little specialized emblem that denotes a success, and you get some success points, which are going to go into our mechanics videos. And then on the D12, they've got the Eye of Sauron on 1, and then the Mark of Gandalf on 12. With easy to reference crit, or I shouldn't say crit. So basically something good happens when the Gandalf piece comes up, and then with the Eye of Sauron you get a fail. And as I said, we're going to be diving more into those mechanics pieces, but just something cool on that side. So if you wanted to get their specialized dice, you could. They look amazing. I don't have them yet. I may order some myself. But just in case you don't want to and you want to have your crew use their regular dice, you don't need to worry about that, because Eye of Sauron's 1, Gandalf's 12, and then you've got a special mark on the D6. Very easy to use and very easy to remember, so nobody has to pony up more money to play. So outside of that, within the skills, they've got to broke them up into 3 different categories for heart, wit, as well as strength. And you get to kind of build your skills within there. And then the way they do it with this, and it has a dice pool, so you roll your d12, you roll however many d6s you have, and then you have a target number based off of one of those stats that you have to beat. So a lot of these rolls aren't going to be the story master, which is what you're called in this system, determining, or so maybe the lore master. I think it's lore master. Remember, this is our first impressions video. We'll have all that lined up as we go through. And so either the story or lore master will determine that piece, and then I won't determine that piece. The player will have that target number based off of their skills, which is their skills minus 20, and that remaining number is the target number. So it's kind of cool on that side. So your players will know usually what they have to go up against. It'll be easier or harder depending on how much they put into that skill. But we're going to go into that a lot more during the mechanics phase. So I thought that was cool. I've been playing, so I'm getting used to dice pool systems. I think I've only played 3 systems so far with dice pools. Vampire the Masquerade, and then you saw us play Coyote and Crow, which did dice pool. And now this one, I think Alien kind of uses a similar system, so you'll see that going through too. So it'll be kind of cool to see how this one plays. I like how I've been liking having players know what their number is to shoot for, so it kind of gives them a little more agency and kind of as they plan their actions. So it'll be kind of cool to see how this plays too. So other than that, just a couple other first impressions as we flow through. They have a lot of the core races. You can build pretty much any of the PCs or core characters you've seen in Lord of the Rings, except for they don't really have a Gandalf one, the way to build a wizard. Or at least I haven't seen that, I'll say. Quick glance, I didn't see that. But you could build Aragorn with the Rangers of the North. They've got Bardings, they've got the Dwarves of Duron, Elves of Lindon, the Hobbits of the Shire. And each of the races have some cool pieces that go along with that. And you'll see, next video is how to build a PC using Roll20. So you get to see us go into that in more depth with what the races do. And I haven't decided what my PC is going to be yet, but you can see that played out next week in our video. So stay tuned for that. So that's cool. I really like that. They've got all the core races you'd want to build your own Lord of the Rings story. They've got a really cool fellowship and patron kind of piece to, where you get to the group is actually, instead of the story master gets to decide who they want their patron to be, and you can choose like from Gandalf or there were others in there too. I think Elrond was one of them, and you get to kind of choose who your patron is, and they give you certain buffs, features, and things associated with that. And you get your fellowship points, which are kind of related to your group too. And I like how it gives the option for groups to kind of choose where they want their safe haven to be, what they want their patron to be, something cool as they come together that they can determine out and help kind of edge out the flow of a quest or adventure. So that was nice for me. So that's really cool. The other thing I thought was interesting that they did too is they kind of divide the game into two different phases. You've got your adventure phase and then your fellowship phase. The fellowship phase is pretty cool. So the fellowship phase is after the adventure is completed. It's kind of like really not really formalized rules for downtime that really kind of tie into the Lord of the Rings lore. So you've got making a song. So you can have in Lord of the Rings, if you've read the book, there's pages and pages and pages and pages of songs. And one of the things you could do with there is you make your own song, and there's certain benefits, mechanics associated with that. You can study a magic item. You can meet with your patron to gain more information. There's just a lot you can do during this fellowship phase, and the way they've kind of described it, and we're going to be doing a whole video on this too, but the way they described it is more of an interactive phase between the DM and the players, where the players kind of throw out what they want to do, and sometimes it's aligning with the items that are on there, but the DM kind of works to make the story and make the lore fit that as they're going through that fellowship phase and kind of the downtime between adventures. So that's pretty cool. Looking forward to seeing more of that. And then you got the kind of the core adventuring phase, or the core phase, which is the adventuring phase, which is broken up into three different categories. You've got your council phase, which is more for kind of like a formalized rules for socializing and kind of having social encounters, which is nice. It's not something you have to use, they've said, but something that can help. I know a lot of complaints I've seen from 5e are people saying that there's not a lot of defined rules for socializing or social encounters, and that's built into the system there, so we could see a little bit more on that. Of course, you got your combat phase, which seems to be pretty intricatedly, pretty laid out, I'll say. It doesn't seem super complex, but it definitely seems like it is. There's definitely steps and phases you go through to execute combat, which would be interesting to break out a little bit more. And then you've got your journey phase, which is huge for Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, all that. A lot of it is just about that journey. So they've got some formalized rules with that. And I definitely, at least in my game, and I imagine almost all the games, that's going to play a pretty heavy feature or kind of heavy piece during the encounters. So I'm looking forward to going through those in more depth and kind of diving into that piece a little bit more. But that's just kind of a quick high-level overview of the phases and or kind of our first impressions of the system. So far, I'm pretty excited for it. Each thing I saw kind of got me a little bit more excited to dive into the system a bit more. Lord of the Rings just being such a huge impact on the TTRPG genre with how much it just influenced D&D, influenced all the games that came after. It's gonna be cool seeing a system that's meant to play out these situations. I know a lot of us, I've even done it before, I've tried to push D&D to a Lord of the Rings style game where a lot of times it's not kind of how it fits. But this is a system that's designed to fit that type of storytelling. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. So join us, a little bit of a sneak peek to what's coming up next. Next week, we're building a PC on Roll20. You're going to see me go through the character creation steps for the Lord of the Rings, or I should say the One Ring system. So you're going to see us go through those steps, showing you on the Roll20 system, just so in case you use Roll20, but even if you don't use Roll20, you'll know how to build it. We're going to go through each portion individually. I always like to do that. I found the best way to learn a system is to make a PC in the system. And then for the next one, we're going to be doing kind of a combo. So it's going to be a mechanics video focused on both the social and journey portions of the adventuring phase, as well as the fellowship phase. We're going to be going through some other pieces of the mechanics as well, but pretty heavily focusing on those two. And then after that, we're going to be building our own big bad enemy that the crew is going to go up against. And with this video, because the video, just kind of at a glance, it looks like the NPC building is a little bit quicker or faster, actually, or more simplistic. So we're going to combine building that big bad with the combat phase of the encounters. You're going to see us build that big bad, and then we'll go through the encounter, how combat works, so we can make sure we mesh those up together really well. So stay tuned for those. Most of these videos will be dropping on the weekend, but the combat video will be dropping the Wednesday before the game. So check that out. Keep a lock on the channel and stay tuned for those. But overall, I'm excited for this system. Lord of the Rings should be a great one. The One Ring in the Lord of the Rings universe is just going to be pretty fun to explore. So if you're not a follower of the channel already, drop a subscribe, like, drop a comment too about just different things, things you love about the Lord of the Rings as a whole, as a universe, or for those who played the One Ring system, some cool comments. What do you think of the system? What are some of your likes, dislikes, or thoughts as you've gone through your journeys? But definitely stay tuned. Make sure to drop a like, a follow, and follow us on Twitch too, so you can be in line for the live game. Because one of the things we do with our live games is we raffle off a PDF of the system. So if you come and hang out with us Wednesday, the 27th of June, we'll be giving away a copy of that PDF, so you can bring this amazing system back to your crew. But thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time.